Hi, my name is Kimberly from Zeven Development. Today I'm going to show you how to import data from Dotdigital into Razor's Edge using Importacular. So first of all, we're going to find Importacular in the plugins area of Razor's Edge and open it up. We're going to select Dotdigital as our data source and click Start. And then we want to choose the data that we want to bring in. So if we click on the drop down, we've got the option to bring in campaign activity, changes to our contacts, clicks, bounces, and unsubscribes. So I'm going to bring in my changed contact data, and I can choose a date to bring that in from. So once we've downloaded the data, we can see how many records we've got for review. We can choose a mapping template or create a new one by clicking on the plus. I've already set one up. Let's take a look at that. So we can see here we've got down the side all the different areas that we can add mappings for, and along the top all the different areas of Razor's Edge. So I'm in the constituent area. So we need a constituent mapping for every single import we do. So you can see here we've got the Razor's Edge fields that we'll find on the Bio 1 tab. And on the second column, if we click on the drop down, we've got all the fields that we can bring in from Dotdigital. So you can map those to anywhere you want within Razor's Edge. As you can see, I've got some basic fields mapped. I've got my first name, my gender, the constituent ID, which I'm using for a lookup for anybody who already exists. And I've got my surname as well. You can also add default values here. And in the settings, you can dynamically transform various fields for if they come in differently to how you have things set up in your code tabs in Razor's Edge. I've also got an opt-in type set up for a constituent attribute, and we can see that that's mapped to my last subscribed data and the opt-in type. And I've also got some default values here for the category, for my attribute and my comments. And then I've got some address data. So this allows people to update their addresses in Dotdigital and me to bring it into Razor's Edge. Or if I've got anybody who's a new subscriber, then I can bring that person into Razor's Edge with all this data as well. And finally, I've got their email address. So I've got the email from .mailer, and I've got my phone type of email here. So let's bring that data into Razor's Edge. We're going to create a control report, and this will just show us any errors there might be in the mapping. And we're going to create a query of our new and updated constituents so we can easily find them as well. So when I click continue, nothing's been imported yet. I'm going to go to our data review screen. And the first page we see here will show us a summary of the data we're going to bring into Razor's Edge. So we can see the first line is an update. We found a match in the database. And we can see the matched record here at the bottom. If we click on the Razor's Edge symbol, we can open that record up if we want to check anything before we run the imports. And if there were multiple potential matches, we'd see them here and we could choose the one we wanted to bring in. So all of these records are going to be updated bar one. This one is a create record. That means it's a brand new one. There was no match in the database, so we're going to add that as a new record. And then the tabs along the top show us every single data point we're going to bring into Razor's Edge, so we can review all the different data that we're going to bring in. Here we can see we've got the constituent ID, which we're just using for matching, which is why it's greyed out. We've got the name, the key indicator, and the gender. And then we've also got our opt-in type here as well. So we've got we've got the opt-in category, we've got the description, our comments, and the date as well. And then finally, we've got our addresses. So we can see all the different address fields that we're going to add to Razor's Edge here too. And our email address. Okay, so if we're happy with all of that data, then we can import it. But before importing, we might just want to check that it's going to go in as we expect. So if we tick this little button at the bottom here, we can validate the data first. So if I click on validate, we can see here the little pencils mean they're going to update a record, little tick means create a new one. And everything's going to happen as we expect. If there were any errors reported here, we could take a look at those in the control report. But if we're happy with that data, we can untick the validate box and say import. Okay, let's go and see what that looks like in Razor's Edge. So if we come out of Importacular, let's find our query. So here are all of our records that we've just updated. This is our new record. So we can see that the name, the gender have been added. Obviously we've created a constituent ID. We've got our address here and the email address has been added as well. If we go to our attributes, we can see that my opt-in type's been added as well, with the date and where it's come from. And if we take a look at the top record, we'll also be able to see under his attributes that we've got a single opt-in type here as well with the date. So that's how we bring in changes to people's data and new records into Razor's Edge. But what about campaign information? So you've sent your email out, people are opening that email and clicking on links, maybe some people are unsubscribing, you want to bring that information into Razor's Edge. So we can do that too. So we'll go through exactly the same process as before, but this time we're going to select our campaign activity. So I'm going to choose a specific campaign. I'm going to select a date to bring the changes in from. And again, we can see the records I've got for review. So this time I've got a different mapping template because obviously the data I'm bringing in is different. So let's have a quick look at that. So I've got a constituent mapping, and this is purely for matching in Razor's Edge. So to find those constituents to add this data to. And then I've got the action I'm going to add here. So I've got an email sent action, I've got the clicks, and I've got the campaign ID as well. So all of those are going to be added to Razor's Edge for these constituents. Again, we're going to create a control report and we'll create a query. And here we can see the 4 records that we're going to update with the campaign activity. So again, as we click on each one, we can see the different records that are going to be updated. So we're using the constituent ID to match, as well as the email address. And here is the action that we're going to add. So you can see the action date, the completed date. We've also got the number of clicks, and we've got the campaign ID as well. So as usual, if you're happy, you can validate it. Let's run that quickly. They're all going to go in OK. And then we can untick and import the data. So let's save that. And again, let's go and see what that looks like in Razor's Edge. So we'll find our query. So we've got these 4 records. Let's take a look. This was the record that we added before. So we've now got an action that's been added. We can see the email here that's been completed, and we've got the date. And if we look in the action attributes, we've got the campaign ID, so we can easily determine which email they got sent. And we've got the number of clicks as well. So for this campaign, the clicks were 0 for this person. So that's how to bring your data from Dotdigital into Razor's Edge using Importacular. Thanks for listening.